Struggling with thinning, slow growth, or relentless shedding? This DIY Nettle and Fenugreek strengthening hair growth mist packs a powerful punch against weak strands, targeting these issues right at the root. Now, with Nettle to boost scalp health and Fenugreek to fortify each strand, you are just minutes away from a natural remedy that can help restore strength and encourage growth. So let's dive in and make your hair stronger. So for this mist, you are going to need a few ingredients from the 180 Botanical Kit. Now, if you haven't already grabbed your kit, I will put a link for it in the description below, so you can go ahead and get that. Now, you will need the nettle, and you will also need the fenugreek. You will need your label, of course. And you will also need the rosemary. Now remember, we use essential oils, but this is always optional, okay? And you're going to need your spray bottle. Now, if you have already used your spray bottle, remember you can use any spray bottle that you have as long as it is clean and free of residue. So we provide the spray bottle in the kit just to get you started. Now there is another bottle in there. If you want to put a spray top on this one, you can do that. It's fine, but these are the ingredients from the kit that you will need. Now, another ingredient that we are using is the vegetable glycerin. We are using this as a humectant because it helps to attract and retain moisture in your hair and scalp. So this is especially beneficial for preventing dryness and promoting long-lasting hydration. Now, be sure to stay till the end of the video because I'm going to give you some alternatives that you can use in place of vegetable glycerin. Now, to measure your ingredients, you're going to need a teaspoon measuring spoon, and you'll need something to measure out either cups or ounces. I always recommend just a little measuring cup with a pouring spout. Try to get one if you can that you don't also use for food. I mean, if you're doing this for the first time, it's fine. But if you're going to be doing DIY long term, always keep your DIY containers and tools and measuring things separate from your food items. Okay, that's important. And then also I have just another empty jar that has some ounces measurements and milliliter measurements on it. You will need 2 different containers, and I'll show you why in a second. And then also, if you don't have a strainer, you will need that. I picked this up from the dollar store. These are relatively cheap. Grab one. Again, if you're going to be doing DIY projects more frequently, you're going to need some specific things that won't cost you a lot of money. And then, of course, the last thing we're going to need is some hot water. I always recommend doing distilled water. And if you don't have that, the tap water is fine. Spring water is fine. But I always prefer doing distilled. So I have some distilled water here that's already boiled. Now, from the kit, we are using 1 full teaspoon of the dried nettle. And we are also doing a half teaspoon of fenugreek. I'm going to call that about a half. Okay, so we are going to add the hot water, and we are doing a half cup. Okay, so we're going to add a half cup of hot water. Like that. Now I'm just going to stir this around a little bit just to get those moving. And we will let that steep for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer, and then I will come back as soon as the 20 minutes is up. So really quickly, one thing that I did forget: when we steep, we want to make sure to cover the container. We cover the container to let the herbs steep. This helps to trap the heat and prevent the aromatic oils from escaping. Okay, I want to give you some really quick tips. Avoid boiling your herbs directly. Boiling the herbs directly can destroy the delicate nutrients and the active compounds. So always make sure to use water that has been boiled and slightly cooled. And then also, if you can, use glass or ceramic containers. These retain heat better and do not react with the herbs. Just make sure that everything is in the infusion is pure. Also, your steep time. So for herbs that are more robust, like roots or seeds, you may need to simmer them first for 10 to 15 minutes before steeping to extract their full benefits. Now, steeping properly ensures that the nutrients, vitamins, and the beneficial properties are well extracted. And this just helps provide the maximum benefit for your hair and your scalp treatments. Okay, we have reached the 20-minute mark. I'm going to uncover it, stir it up again. Now we need to let it cool. Okay, so I'm actually going to give it another, I'm going to say 10 minutes to start kind of cooling down. And then I will be back and we will pour it into the container. I'll show you how we're going to add the vegetable glycerin, and then we're also going to add the rosemary. And the most important step is we are going to complete our label. I've let this cool for about 29 minutes. I know I initially said 10, but we're at about 92 degrees. Now you don't need to have one of these little infrared thermometers. I just have that because I also make products. But this is a good temperature to go ahead and start to strain. So let me move that around. So we're going to strain the herbs out, and we just want the liquid. So the liquid is going to be here. So I'm going to take that and just pour it all in there. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to squeeze out all the water from the herbs. There's always some water. So I'm just going to use my measuring spoon to kind of press whatever water is left. We want all that goodness, okay? We want all of that. Now this made a little over 4 ounces, and because your spray bottle is 2 ounces, if you use that spray bottle, this should make about 2 batches for you, okay? And I'm going to show you how to store it in just a second. Okay, so this is what we're left with. This is your Nettle and Fenugreek infused water. All right, that is going to be the base for your spray. 2 ways you can get that water into your spray bottle. Of course, I'm not going to pour it directly from there. That would be a big mess. So I'm going to grab a funnel. Now, if you don't have a funnel, that's fine. Just take your original container, rinse it out, pour that back in here, and then pour it in there. Whatever you need to do to make it work, okay? So I'm going to use this funnel just because I have one. If you have one, that's great. I'm going to do it this way. So I'm not going to fill this all the way to the top. I'm going to fill it maybe to about right here because we still have to add some ingredients, okay? That's it. That's all I'm going to add for that. And as you can see, or you probably can't, it's filled up to about right here. Okay, now we are going to add the vegetable glycerin. The next step is to measure it out. So we only need a 1/4 of a teaspoon. Now, if you have a 1/4 teaspoon to measure this, great, use that. I'm going to eyeball it. And actually, if I wasn't on camera, I probably wouldn't even be pouring it in a spoon. I just pour it straight into the straight into the bottle. So I'm gonna do about a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, and then the last, well, almost the last thing is we're going to add the rosemary essential oils. Okay, here we go. I like these better because they actually have a dropper on them and it keeps you from over pouring. So these are the little samples that come in the kit now. You get 2 grams of rosemary essential oil and it comes with this cute little dropper. So I'm just gonna drop in 2 drops. You just barely squeeze it and boom, that's it. That's all you need. We're gonna put the top on and give it a shake. All right, and that is ready to go. Now the remaining water or infused water that you have left, try to use a container with a lid, okay? This is already cooled. I'm just going to cover this up with a lid because we are not using a preservative. It's important that this goes in the fridge because anytime you use water, remember that is a breeding ground for bacteria, and we do not want to be adding anything with bacteria to our hair and scalp. The next thing is we are going to fill out our label. Now remember, this is probably the most important part of this entire process, is making sure that you label your blends, all right? So this one is the Nettle and Fenugreek, I'm gonna say growth mist. And the purpose of this is so this spray does a few things. Now it can help to promote healthier hair growth. It can combat hair thinning and shedding, and then maintain an overall healthier scalp. So whatever, if you're using it for all 3 of those reasons, you can write, those out. But I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do a healthy scalp. Put whatever resonates with you, because usually with these blends, they address more than one issue. Okay, you're gonna get healthier scalp thinning and shedding. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to read what you wrote. All right. And then today's date is November 5th, 2024. Okay, so we know, and there's a note on here, discard after 2 weeks, refrigerated if needed. This definitely needs refrigeration. So 14 days from today will put us at the 19th. So I'm just gonna say, or use Best Buy or use by 11/19. Now I'm gonna take this label and put it right on top of my spray bottle, and that's it. So we've made our blend, we've put our label on here. If you want to, I would probably just get a marker. For me personally, now you can put a label on here, but I would get a marker and write what this is also, or just put, growth mist used by whatever date. And just remember that, if I look at this and that date has already passed, it doesn't even matter what it is. I need to throw it away. Okay. Now, as far as how often you should use this, it's going to be about 2 to 3 times per week. Okay, so you'll spray this directly onto your hair and scalp and then massage it in. You don't necessarily need to use this daily, and you don't need to rinse it out. Okay, if you feel like you want to rinse it out, that's up to you, but it is not necessary for this particular blend. So just make sure you're shaking it up, just in case there are some particles that may settle to the bottom. You want to get all of those nutrients that we took so much time to steep and then cool and then pour. You don't want to leave anything behind when you make these blends, okay? Now, one other thing, I know I said 2 weeks in the fridge. We don't have to necessarily go that far out. You should use this before 2 weeks is up, okay? If you start using it and you realize it's not working for you, or you're not, you have a reaction, or it's causing irritation, just pour it out, okay? There's no need to keep something that is not working for you and causing you more issues. Just pour it out, rinse your bottle out, dry it, and then you can reuse it. This label should peel right off. And then also, for whatever you have stored in the fridge, if you notice that it starts to grow mold, definitely pour it out. Like I said, this should be good for up to 2 weeks. I have kept these for that long, but again, if you look inside, now inside of this, there are little particles. That is the nettle that just didn't that made it through the strainer because they're such small pieces. But if you look inside of this after a week and you notice that the water is getting very cloudy, or you're noticing growth of mold or bacteria, pour it out, rinse your container out with soapy water, maybe put a little alcohol in it to disinfect it, and then dry it, and then you can use it for something else. Now this targets issues right at the roots, okay? We use Nettle to boost scalp and Fenugreek to fortify each strand. Lord. Let's just start all over.